since you're at the top, let me ask you, what do you guys think? Are you even allowed to tell me?
As of right now?
Yeah. I think someone grabbed her. I mean, is that?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think two people, actually, because she's a fighter.
I don't think she left on her own. I don't think she volunteered.
Perhaps one of the most difficult realities to understand and live through are kidnappings.
Bring her home. Bring her home. Just bring her home. Bring her home safe.
The closure that comes with a passing of a loved one or a mutual parting of ways is simply not afforded.
Are they feeding her? You know, is she hot? Is she cold? I mean, just little horrible things that I would go through. I thought about that. I thought about her being there, screaming my name, and that I wasn't there.
This nightmare became everyday life for Keith Papini and his two small children. Keith's wife, Sherri Papini, was abducted against her will and held for 3 whole weeks, or so the world thought. On the 2nd of November 2016, the 34-year-old mother of 2, Sherri Papini, would go for a jog through her local neighborhood. She would not return as scheduled, and her family would report her missing to the police soon after.
911, what is your emergency? CHP transfer. Keith is on the line. Hello, can I help you?
Hello? Yeah, I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual, and my kids should have been there by now from, like, daycare. So I was like, oh, maybe she went on a walk. I couldn't find her, so I called the daycare to see what time she picked up the kids. The kids were never picked up, so I got freaked out, so I hit, like, the Find My iPhone app thing, and it said that it showed her phone, like, at our end of our driveway. We don't have really good service.
Okay.
Not the end of our driveway, but the end of our street. So I just drove down there, and I saw her phone with her headphones because she started running again. And I found her phone, and it's got, like, hair ripped out of it, like, in the headphones. So I'm, like, totally freaking out, thinking, like, somebody, grabbed her.
Okay, what's your address?
Redding.
Okay, what's your last name?
Yes. Papini, P-A-P-I-N-I.
And your first name?
Keith.
K-E-I-T-H?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go pick up your children?
No, I'm going to call my mom and have her do it.
Okay. What's your wife's name?
I'm going to, like, knock on every door. Sherri. S-H-E-R-R-I.
And same last name?
Yes.
She white, female?
Yes.
What's her date of birth?
It is June 11th, 1982. You're telling me that something happened to her is the way I'm looking at it. Then there was hair, like, in the headphones. Like, it got ripped off, like, the grabbed.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The police department and the residents of the town of Redding sprung into action and launched search parties in an attempt to find the poor woman. Large rewards for information were offered.
There's a $50,000 reward. Bring her home.
Family members made public appeals.
I just want to find her. Just bring Sherri home, please.
And £50,000 was raised to aid the campaign to find Sherri. There were a number of suspicious components to Sherri's disappearance, which would suggest that she was forcibly taken rather than leaving out of her own free will. These would include her strong family bonds who she has left behind, signs of a struggle, and her seemingly happy demeanor in the days leading up to the event. These factors would lead the police to begin a large-scale investigation and view the situation as an abduction. The reported percentage of those abducted by someone they have met before is 72%. Therefore, the police would begin questioning Sherri's family, friends, and acquaintances, beginning with her husband, Keith.
It's not I don't trust, and I've told him several times, like, I do believe it, and I got good buddies that are cops that are telling me this guy's smart as hell. So, and I get that, and as me being in my side, I'm like, did I do everything I could have done? And these people are telling me I need to get the FBI now. I'm into law enforcement. I wanted to be in law enforcement, but I know they're not going to fly in, you know. And
when you talk to Nick Day, bring up his name. He has his own reputation in and of himself.
Yeah.
Beyond me. So, and unfortunately, the sheriff's office has handled more of these cases than the other agencies in this area combined, starting from the 80s. So we have the experience. We're there.
At this point in time, Keith's actions have been consistent with a truly worried husband. He has done his utmost since Sherri's disappearance to bring attention to its suspicious nature, and is also spending his days following his own leads.
And I would never doubt that. And I know I mean, you guys have wives. You're probably like, oh my God. And you see our family and you dug and you know that I'm not a creep and, and you're like, this is real.
But it feels better to hear it as opposed to me just assuming that.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can. Okay. When you get done here, I'm going to talk to Peter Jackson, the FBI, this afternoon about some other things. Okay. It's just.
Since you're at the top, let me ask you. What do you guys think? Are you even allowed to tell me?
As of right now?
Yeah. I think someone grabbed her. I mean, is that?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I'm not going to lie to you.
I think 2 people, actually, because she's a fighter.
I'm not going to, I don't think she left on her own. I don't think she volunteered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so.
And the phone, the picture, I mean, that's weird how it's like been placed. Would you guys say it's been placed, not thrown? It's weird.
Keith bringing up the suspicious nature of Sherri's disappearance in an interrogation setting will only help to negate suspicions. Guilty offenders will try to skirt their way around these facts in an attempt to avoid any confrontation. It wouldn't be uncommon for a guilty suspect in a case of this ilk to suggest that Sherri may have left of her own accord, therefore avoiding any criminal investigation altogether. Again, Keith does the exact opposite of this.
There's 4 different reasons.
Okay. And we never got anything back on that.
On what?
On the phone, DNA and all.
We should be getting hard information back today. But
No fingerprints.
We've been verbally told there's nothing alarming. And that's for you to know.
Oh, yeah, I won't share.
Okay. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, but I'm waiting to see it in print. I've asked them to do some follow-up, and Kyle will get back with you once we get hard information, because I don't believe I'm telling you one thing and have something come out and change. But we spoke with them yesterday, and they said they will call us if there's something alarming, and we have not heard from them. Okay. That doesn't mean anything, just they haven't told us anything.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything I can assist with? Because obviously I haven't seen her phone, so I don't know if she sent out texts or if she made phone calls, and I go, that's kind of weird.
I got everything I figured out.
Okay. And we got the last name of Dave.
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
So as far as her phone data and all that stuff,
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Hang in there.
Lose my mind. I'm
I
sorry.
I got to get back and take care of some stuff.
Yep.
All right. See you.
Anything else for me
No. I mean,
besides the?
like I said, I know you're doing everything, and I just want to make sure that I do everything.
Yep.
And
And
like I said, Nick's like, man, I went to the academy. That guy, he's like super smart.
And I did. I've hung out with Nick on my days off. I love Nick.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just want to.
And when people are in this situation, when you're half a thing, like the very first day, everybody's there to help. Everybody wants to help. Everybody's grasping at straws. Like I said, like at the very beginning, all of those people out there screws things up for the later half.
Mm-hmm.
So now when we get info that good hard info about this situation, and we bring in our professional trackers, we bring in the FBI, we bring in the best resources law enforcement can handle that. Now it's all gone because everybody trampled through there. Not in a negative way, because everybody wants to help. Nobody has bad intentions. Not a single person has bad intentions.
And that's why, I mean, I hope that I've came across where I am getting these ideas, but I feel like I've been checking with you first. But sometimes some of my family members and some of them do have, money. I'm not going to say they're not going to push for the private investigator or I think they called the guy and he retired from here.
And we're not saying not to.
Mm-hmm.
We're just saying that we have resources that they don't.
Yeah.
To add to the innocent behavior that Keith shows his alibi would turn out to be airtight upon investigation, and he would pass a polygraph test, therefore completely eradicating himself as a suspect.
You spoke to him about the polygraph results.
Yes.
Okay. So.
I mean, I passed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did.
Okay.
So obviously, now we're not focusing so much on all of our assets for you, all of our assets for Sherri, and all of our assets for the unknown. Okay. I know Kyle's explained to you how investigations go, and I know you keep asking about resources and stuff. I'm the supervisor in charge.
Okay.
So I work hand in hand with Kyle.
Okay.
I can tell you with great authority that I'm spending money left and right to find your wife. Okay. I have a wife that jogs. he has a wife that jogs. I had to look my wife in the eye last night and explain to her, we'll get this squared away. Okay, so there's having resources and having people help, that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's making sure we focus and try to do the best we can with the information we have.
Keith and his children would be put through hell for the next 22 days as they awaited any form of news from the police or Sherri. The police would find very little, and all were beginning to lose hope. This was until November 24, 2016 at 4:30 a.m. Miraculously, Sherri would be found 146 miles away from her home on the side of a highway, where she would be picked up by officers. Sherri was badly injured with cuts and bruises all over her body, still in restraints, and she even had a Bible verse branded onto her shoulder. The Papini family rejoiced, however the police were keen to interview Sherri and find those responsible. Sherri was reluctant to answer any questions at first. She claimed her abductors had told her that they had operators in the force. After a short while, however, she did agree to an interview on the condition her husband was present. Sherri remains in a form of the fetal position for the duration of her interview. This is not uncommon in cases of kidnapping, as it can help victims feel safer. However, it is also known to signify fear and emotional withdrawal. What is interesting is multiple times Sherri's verbal answers and upper body movements are the exact antithesis of this. She appears cocky, jokey, and unbothered. Sherri also appears to be smiling and supposedly having fun throughout the interview, especially when she is receiving sympathy.
And that was very frustrating to me that no one would cut it off. And I was telling her that. And I said, they wouldn't let me talk to my husband. I want my husband. And they weren't even untying me. And he said, "We did untie you." And I was like, "Get the fuck out." "No, you didn't." Because he yelled back at me like we did. And I'm like, "No, you didn't." To come home for lunch, which, looking back is quite embarrassing. He's like, "Thanks for, that last text message. Honey, will you please come home to have sex with your wife for lunch?"
Anything out of the ordinary on your way home? Anything out of the ordinary when you got home or out taking care of the chickens? Anything that caught your eye or hear anything out of the ordinary? Chickens, by the way. How many chickens do you have?
We used to have 10.
Okay. Source subject?
We lost a couple.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, we used to have 10.
I have chickens, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, we used to have every type of chicken.
That's
I'm pretty sure it was the 2 Americanas that we lost, one of which was one of my favorite ones, Lady Hawk, and America.
Sherri also goes on to describe her ordeal and give reenactments. At these moments, she does begin to show signs of emotion. However, interestingly, her eyes are almost always shut, potentially masking fake tears.
Okay, so across the road, phone's in my hand, earbud out, towards the vehicle. This, not all the way down, squatting,
okay.
not crouching, squatting. Laid my phone down. I can't remember if she said, "We don't want to hurt you, we don't want to kill you." I can't remember exactly if it's, "We don't want to something, we don't want to something, we don't want to something." And then I put my phone down. As soon as I set it down, I was so mad because I couldn't call my husband. And as soon as I put it down, and then I turned and I pulled my hair out because I ran away. And I didn't, and I should have, and that's all I...
Do you want to come back up to the table?
And then I got up and went this direction. And I can't remember lifting my leg. I can't remember the back door open.
Just take a drink of water if you need to. And I want to run something by you and see if this might be able to help a little bit. Take a breath, do some more. You're good. You're recalling things from like your first person view, correct? And you're going through, you're seeing it through your own eyes. You understand what I mean by that? You're doing good. Okay.
Throughout her multiple interviews, she claimed to have been abducted at gunpoint by 2 Hispanic women, forced into a dark-colored SUV, beaten, chained, shaved, and prepared to be sold. The descriptions that she gave of these 2 Hispanic women were that one had thin eyebrows, pierced ears, and long curly hair. The other woman supposedly had straight black hair and thick eyebrows. This was enough evidence for a sketch artist to create a facial composite of the pair. Although rumors began to surface that claimed Sherri was a serial liar, the police were searching for these suspects for over half a decade. The police likely had their suspicions surrounding Sherri's story for the majority of that half-decade due to multiple issues they would have noticed when reviewing her case. For example, in her interviews, she had different stories as to how and why she was branded. Also, when she described where the chains on her body were, they switched positions multiple times. The police would find more red flags when they investigated Sherri's personal life. She had many calls to unknown men in the days before her disappearance, a history of infidelity and running away when things got difficult, and a pattern of false accusations against former lovers, family members, and youth workers. Despite these worries, there was no evidence to oppose Sherri's claims. Therefore, the case remained open. Until 2019, when a piece of male DNA found on Sherri's sweatpants would be decoded, and using the familial DNA databank, the FBI managed to link this to a relative of an ex-boyfriend of Sherri, James Reyes. An investigation into James Reyes would then begin. The FBI would search through James's trash to find a DNA sample. They would find a discarded bottle of Honest Honey Green Tea, which they took to be tested at a laboratory. The DNA found on the bottle would be a direct match, and James was arrested soon after. James offered little resistance during his interrogation and fully cooperated with the police. He told the police that before Sherri's disappearance, she had reached out to him for help and assistance in escaping Keith. She claimed he was extremely abusive. Sherri told him to rent a car, pick her up, and drive her 9 hours to his apartment. This is where the pair would stay for the next 3 weeks. Reyes also said that after 3 weeks, Sherri felt lonely, missed her children, and wanted to return. As a result, she asked Reyes to assist her in inflicting injuries on her body. According to James, he reluctantly agreed to shoot pellets at her legs and assist her in branding herself, including purchasing the equipment. He did, however, refuse to put his hands on Sherri and claims nearly all of her injuries were fully self-inflicted. One day he returned home from work to see Sherri had cut her hair, and James also believes that she was purposely starving herself to appear emancipated. Their relationship was not intimate during those 3 weeks, and James would go on to pass a polygraph test based on all of these details. As a result, Sherri and Keith were asked to come to the police station.
Incredibly long road, but some stuff's come up. So we've always had the DNA out there in the world.
Sorry, Tom, before we get too far, obviously, just like always, thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Yeah.
As always, your presence here is voluntary.
Yeah.
You can go at any time, and all we want is truthful statements, because it's a crime to lie to federal officers.
Wow, yeah. No, that's good.
Understood?
Yeah.
Sorry, forget about that part. So there's always been DNA out there, and we've done testing after testing. We've gone out to like the Parabon, which is a private company who does all like the genetics, and we've just hit wall after wall after wall. But recently we found a familial DNA hit. So what that does, it just tells us it came from a certain person. So like the mother or the father or a son or an uncle or however that is, it just hits that, and like somewhere in this family tree is where the DNA comes from.
Okay.
So with that, we open up the investigation. We go into who could it be within the family. So once we started opening up those doors and looking through the family members and just trying to see Facebook stalking them, criminal histories, just that normal investigation that we do once we start looking into things, we started finding some interesting things.
Okay.
So one of the things that came out to us, is there anything in there that looks
Of interest or notable?
interest or?
And that's an awkward photo, but
Yeah.
no.
Fortunately, the detectives have chosen to keep Sherri in the dark about their recent investigation and DNA evidence. This consequently means that Sherri has been caught off guard, is unaware of the extent of evidence the police have, and has likely forgotten a lot of the details she had previously given years before.
So the table, the picture's a little grained out. So
To me, I see a table there that somewhat looks like something you described to me in the past, and then I see wood paneling. Talking about the room.
Yeah, we noted both of those things back in August
Yeah.
2017. Was when we spoke with you about, and you showed us this picture of a table.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, Sherri?
Yes, I do.
And so when we were trolling through this, Facebook page, we saw just the edge of that table.
Yeah.
Denise caught it, in
Yeah.
fact.
Oh, cool.
Denise said, "Hey, Peter, look at this table." And I was like, "Oh wait, you're right."
Yeah.
And it has the wood paneling.
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, no, I see both of those from what she told me. So.
Okay. So that was of interest. With that, we started looking at different people and who might be involved and just trying to figure it out. And I wanted to show you this picture. And obviously, people can change their weight, people can change the color of their hair. Don't, just because the photo might be a little bit different, as you know, women like to change their hair and their makeup, their weight can change, so that might be a little bit different. But we wanted to take a look at this six-pack and see if you recognize anybody, see these 6 photos. You don't feel like you have to provide an answer. There's no right or wrong answer. Just let us know if you see anybody in this photo that you do recognize, and if you do, we'll talk about how. Okay. Keith, if you could just wait not to say anything until that way we don't influence.
Right.
I don't think so.
So nobody jumps out?
I mean, this one a little bit, but
Can you say this one a little bit? Which number is it?
number 3.
obviously, we know they're masked. We know there's already hurdles to come about.
Just
So
another
it's-
tool, another way to.
Just another, and obviously, because you don't know the people. If you knew the people, then we'd show pictures, but
Let me try that trick with this one. That's a little easier. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it makes it harder when you're looking at like a crowd of.
Like Peter said, different color hair and dyes and all that kind of stuff.
Just. Like I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I know. I would say right here is what's drawing me to this photo.
So on photo number 5,
Yeah.
Marty, this is the first one we showed you. This is the second one we showed you. So on 6-pack number 2,
But like you were saying, if someone were to lose weight, that would change.
you're drawn to photo number 5?
Yes,
Features of photo number 5?
correct.
and again, just for the record and for when you go back, like number 1 is when you say 3 is similar. She's similar to the younger female that we've always described in everything.
Smaller one, older one.
Putting Sherri and Keith through this charade and showing the pair potential suspects may seem callous or a waste of time. However, the process does provide a crucial purpose. It works as evidence to showcase to the jury just how far Sherri is willing to go. The fact she claims that 2 of the women in these photos look familiar suggests she would be willing to let innocent bystanders take the fall and go all the way to the end.
And just because it's been a long time, Can you remind me what the younger one did, like the main parts of it compared to the older one, just for the last, like, clarity of stuff? So for the record, so.
The younger one's the one that let me go
Okay.
and was the nicer of the two.
Okay.
The older one was really abusive and really mean and is the one that did all the really terrible things.
Okay. And that's my memory too.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to reference it for our notes and.
Yeah, so we don't have to say, oh, she was referring to the second interview back in 2017.
It's hard. I've given them nicknames in my head, but they're really good. They're not good.
Is number 3 alive in that photo?
Yeah, Jesus.
So we have more pictures. That's not the end of the road. So, like I said, with the familial DNA, obviously we saw that first picture that has the wood paneling. And it's got the table, right? So that's ultimately what led us to those pictures, which then snowballed us down the road that we're eventually at and where we are.
Throughout the interrogation, the detectives drip feed Sherri more and more information. This, in turn, slowly raises the pressure and tension placed on her. The gradual increase in pressure will damage Sherri's self-esteem, stamina, and ability to critically think. The fact that she is not made aware of all the information also allows the detectives to set certain traps like the picture segment you just witnessed. The following outburst provides a visual example of the effect the drip feeding tactic can have on a person.
So were you able to find like where that house is?
Yes.
And what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
That's where I was going next.
Maybe the top one or two.
And may I ask, how did we even get to that point? How did we get that photo? Based off-
Familia DNA.
So they came back and said, oh, here's some people related in this familia.
There's about 40 people total.
That's a good thing, I guess.
But
And
40 is
then
better than
you just started
60
going
million.
through and then
130, whatever the
boom,
numbers
that
are.
caught your eye. which-
Yeah, we started looking at everything that we could. Phones, online presence,
Cool.
criminal history, Facebook photos, DMV photo, what
Just
they
happy to hear you guys are
drive.
still on.
And like he said, Denise is, obviously you guys are aware, Denise is at
Yeah.
a different location now. She's the one that found that picture. So we cast a wide net to start finding certain aspects.
Is she still working on the case even though she's in?
Not officially, but I always call her and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?
I love her so much. I was
But yeah,
so
she's still
sad.
working on it in an informal way.
So,
So if you look at this
Oh.
closet,
obviously
know if
there's
anything-
stuff in there now.
I'm not looking at the stuff.
I literally was cleaning papers out yesterday and found that drawing that you did. I haven't even looked at the picture yet, but I've seen it out. Can I look at it? There's some new one.
you remember this
I
drawing?
mean,
Yes, I just found the original one of that I was trying to explain.
it's a little bit different, but it's pretty, excuse my language, it's pretty fucking similar. But it's different.
What's different or what's
Yeah.
the same?
It's hard, there's a lot of shit in the photos, but
Well, let's focus on
Yeah.
let's focus on those two because there's less color. I've walked the streets with my wife in Mexico and we went through
Yeah.
every shop because of the color changes. No, nothing, not because there was anything new in it, just the color.
Now, can I ask a question? Is this from the same house as that?
We don't
We'll get to
Oh,
that.
okay.
What do you see in this photo, Sherri? Like what? You said it looks very similar. What's
I mean,
similar?
this is what I'm remembering, that feeling, you know, grabbing it and feeling that feeling. But
Mhm.
this part is different. This part is different. That definitely
So
doesn't.
you're saying
look
this
the
metal
same.
part, it looks the same as what you remember, but this piece right here,
This part doesn't look the same, right?
and what
But-
was the difference in it?
That there was a lot more. There was a lot more
Like
there.
bulkier?
Yes,
Reinforced
thank
or-
you.
I don't think the pictures really show.
If I
Maybe look at this.
is it
more metal or
So
like
the-
beefier, like
If you look
Stronger.
at this side of it, a little bit more.
Basically the width of a plywood, a sheet of plywood.
Oh.
It's like a piece of plywood almost.
It didn't look like that.
yeah, it looks blown up, so it makes it look like it's that thick, but it's about like 3/4
Yeah,
inch somewhere.
it's probably like half inch. It's
Half
also
inch.
so.
Okay, yeah, this looks big in the picture.
Yeah, it didn't look like that.
Okay, but similar. Besides the metal part, anything else similar?
I mean, the metal part?
What about one shelf versus two shelves?
Oh, I think there was 2 shelves, but now I'm having trouble remembering. I think there was 2. I'm pretty sure there was 2. I can't, maybe there was 2? I don't know. I'm focusing on this part right now, sorry.
Sure. So, that's fine. Window. With the wood paneling. Trying to ignore the TV and stuff. I don't think you had a TV with you, right?
Definitely not. What am I looking for the window? Do you want to know if it's like the same height? If
Well,
it's,
the type of window, the wall itself, anything from these photos that make you believe that this was where you were being held.
I feel like this wood paneling is too thick, but I mean,
You mean this
there
way?
was wood paneling, but I can't remember something like that being there. And I don't remember,
That's fine.
remember it going all the way up to the window is what I'm having trouble remembering.
The window in that photo has holes along the edges.
There's holes.
You know
I
what you
just
mean
don't-
by that, right?
Yeah, hold on a second
Yeah.
here.
We're going fast. Sorry.
We don't mean to overwhelm you. We're just trying to draw your attention to different things that maybe we noted. And we
I'm
want to know
trying
how that
think
compares with
about
what you
the window compared
remember.
to the wood paneling, because it getting just, I mean, that's probably not important.
I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk or not, but the obvious is those are screw holes, right? Is that what you were getting at?
They're just holes.
Holes, screw, nail, something.
Okay. For a board.
So is it fair to say that the paneling, like wood paneling below and sheetrock above, is what you remember, but you can't recall details about the ledge and the difference in width of
And I can't remember if it actually
these,
went up to the window. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was drawn to, is that this is touching the
how it
window.
meets the window
And I don't,
threshold?
yeah,
Okay,
something's going funky with that. Something
Sure.
seems,
Well, and those pictures could be one before or after. Well, I don't know about
We
after,
could
but
be off base.
that, and
Yeah.
it couldn't even be a detail that's flipping important.
so far it looks pretty dang accurate. But-
So one of the things that we always noted in the bathroom description is just the weird layout of the bathroom. So do you remember the layout of the bathroom?
Yes, well,
Let's talk about the best description, and then we'll start showing some pictures.
there's door, toilet, sink, tub. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
so you walk in
layout
the
that
door,
doesn't-
first there's a toilet.
Yes,
On the right
Remember
or
which
left
side?
if I'm,
She's a
It's been a while.
world with, just in general.
I am, I don't know.
But whatever, you walk in the door, on one left or right, you have a toilet, then,
I want to say it's on the left. I'm sorry.
that's fine.
I want to say toilet on the left.
Okay, so maybe a toilet on the left,
Okay, hold on. Toilet on the side.
toilet on the side, and then what's
Toilet
next?
on the side. Sink, tub. Well, that's just pleasant.
Don't pay attention to that magazine.
I mean,
Is that the first thing that you
Yeah.
saw in the magazine?
gross. Come on, guys.
We were talking about the order.
That's on there
We
or
were talking
something.
about the order. Plus, the magazine's not open, so
I
you're good.
mean, this doesn't look like the bathroom to me, but the order is, yes, this is the type of order, but this is not what it looked like to me.
And
So the order is correct, but you don't recognize the bathroom as being what you recall. Do you remember there was a detail about the shower that you provided previously? About the type of something on the tile or something like that? Do you remember
That
any
there
of
was
those?
tile in the tub, there was a crack.
Where was the crack? It's not a memory test. If you don't remember, that's fine. But we remembered that detail when we took some of these photos, and we were just trying to bump it up against what you might remember.
I don't know.
In general, are we talking about? Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. You take your time.
I don't know. I remember there's a crack, I'm not.
So for like trying to, do you remember if it was high or low? Was it any of those like details?
Horizontal, vertical. One tile, lots of tiles.
Not sure if I'm supposed to. Can I talk or not?
Sure.
Oh,
Unless she tells you to shush.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to like get myself there and
Just
I don't.
as a
don't
reminder, I do remember when we went to my grandma's house.
Mhm.
You didn't like her tile because it reminded you of that. I think I sent.
You sent us a picture.
Yes.
That's why I would say we.
That's why I just want to remind her, because if you think of that, because I can't even think of what her tile looks like right now, but I do remember you didn't like that at all. But I can't remember the crack. I remember you told me a crack, but I don't remember where you told me. Or else I'd bring it up. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so nervous of like saying something that's not gonna be right, so I just can't remember. I don't
Like
know.
I said in the beginning, we only want the truth, and so whatever is the best
I think
understanding or memory that you have.
we'll
Right.
get there today.
And my direction is obviously not the best.
So then this is starting to,
That doesn't look right to me. But
So this crack is in a different location than this crack, which is probably better viewed in this photo. But this is the same bathroom we showed you, the
this is
original, the same one with the
the charming magazine on the.
Sports Illustrated,
Great.
yes.
look at that in reach.
I don't know.
Okay, so nothing jumps out at you at that photo?
We're not trying to overwhelm you. Obviously, it's been a long road and here we are.
If we could go back to the closet really quick though, I remember when you were talking about being chained into the closet and trying to figure out a way to get loose. You talked about working on a screw, right?
Uh-huh.
And what happened to that screw when you were done with it?
I dug a hole in the wall and poked it into the wall.
Okay. Because this is an interesting photo as well.
Is this in the closet?
That's in the closet.
No, it was drywall.
It was into the drywall.
It was into drywall, but
By the electric plug, if I remember right.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe not that one.
No.
So, we're showing you all of this because ultimately this is the house.
Take a look at the difference between Keith and Sherri's body language in the following segment.
Because ultimately this is the house that you were at.
Keith is clearly jubilant at the notion his wife's kidnappers might have been apprehended. However, Sherri's hunched-over posture suggests fear, worry, and shyness. These are not the emotions you'd expect to see on display when preparing for this news.
that you were at. We talked to the people who live there.
Sorry.
We found the house. We found who was involved. We talked to who was involved. We talked to family who knows that you were there, and talked to a couple people or talked to one guy who did see you.
during this event. Unfortunately, there's a lot of truths, there's a lot of things that were said that we have always confirmed, that we've always said. There's a lot of truths, and then there's some unknowns. Like one of the simple ones, like, well, this description of the bathroom is just weird. Like that was like an argument in all of our offices where we were sitting there like this part's weird. But then we find a house with it. Then the all thread through the thing, that's just weird.
It's unique to this place. Like that's a pretty custom. You can't just go out to IKEA and buy a closet that looks like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So once we have all those things and we start talking to the person who lives here, who had lived there, who still lives there, start talking to his family and starting that whole investigation, peeling one thing back after another, doing the same thing we've done for the last 4 years. It led us to a specific person, but not a female. It led us to the car that picked you up, but not an SUV. So there's lots of different aspects that are truths and falses. And we're to the point now that nobody would have ever imagined that this would have blown up the way that it did. So I've been a cop 15 years. I've never seen the media scale that this garnered pretty quickly. How long have you been in law enforcement now?
12 years in the Bureau.
So, like, of the minds, Brian, who's been around 20 plus years, people who've been in my office like 25, 30 plus years, the media attention that this got out was insane. So I think with that being said, some choices and some decisions ultimately changed the original path of what happened. I don't think anybody would have wished the media frenzy that occurred, like for this event, no matter what the situation, if it was a kid, because the media skewed so many facts. It brought so many people in from the woodwork that if we didn't have the woodwork, we wouldn't have the noise.
And that brings a lot of pressure when you get that kind of scrutiny.
So we'd like to talk to you more about those things, and we can do it with Keith here, or we can ask Keith to leave. It's whatever you're comfortable with, so we can break down some of the problems. If you want Keith here, all we want is to have the truth. All we want is to be able to tell the truth. That's all we've ever wanted from day one. We talked with you for hours, we've been there, we've done all these different things, waiting for something, waiting for it to break, waiting for us to leak something to hear. Because the DNA came back, like I said, to a specific person. That specific person told us very specific things. His family then told us specific things. So if we can talk with Keith or without Keith here, what would you like? It's completely up to you. And like I've always said, I wanted you to have a voice. I wanted you to make decisions. I wanted you to control certain aspects. I think I told you that on the first interview we ever had. I never want to bully you. I never want you to believe I'm bullying you. I want you to take back control. That's one of those things. This is the take back control of the interview, which I promised you to do the first time we talked, if you remember that.
There has clearly been a shift in the interrogation's tone, and going by Keith's dramatic change in body language, he has also recognized this fact.
Actually, we were in Mount Shasta, so the second time we talked.
It's been a long road, Sherri, but we just want to talk to you. We can have Keith step out if that's going to make you more comfortable.
But it's up to you.
Do you want to step out or do you want to stay?
Obviously, I want to stay.
Or we can do a little bit of both. Talk to you alone first and then have him come back in.
So if you want Keith to leave, I'll ask Keith nicely to leave. If you don't want Keith to leave, then he can sit here and
let's
listen
press
to
on.
you.
We'll press on.
And we'll move on to the next stages.
He makes me feel safe anyway.
Well, if he makes you feel safe too, we can
So-
continue on.
Go
And then you can
Can I
change your
talk
mind.
to him?
Absolutely.
And again, I just don't know what the pieces are. So if I would say, hey, this is gonna bring the whole world down, I'd tell you, this is gonna bring the whole world down. And then we need to talk alone. Or I would suggest we talk alone. But that's completely up to you guys, because I don't know. Yeah, we'll be right back.
You need to stop what you're doing and tell me the truth. I don't like anything like that. Yeah, whatever you're doing, it doesn't mean it's tough to me. Okay, but the sad guy knows about what's going on, so you need to explain to me.
I don't give a shit about that. I don't want them to find her. I don't want them to find her. I don't want her to be arrested. I don't want to press charges on her. I don't want to find her.
Explain to me right now that you describe this.
I don't know. I don't want them to find her. You're not listening
But
to
tell
me.
me why.
Because she saved my life.
To add context to this conversation, Sherri is clearly trying to escape the situation and explain her lies by saying she doesn't want one of her captors to get apprehended. This is supposedly because she had claimed for the last few years that the younger abductor was kind during her captivity and eventually allowed her to escape. This just shows how manipulative she can be to those around her.
Tell me, honey, there's obviously something going on. There's obviously something. Tell me this is going to be really bad if you do not tell me.
Look at how you're being right now. I am fucking with you.
No, I'm not gonna be.
I don't want them to find her. I don't want to press charges, and I don't want to go down that road.
But you tell her?
I don't want to go down that road. I don't
Tell
want
me
to
why.
arrest her. Because she saved my life, and she's the reason why I get to hold my children every single day. I don't want you to find her.
We're not gonna find her.
She's the reason why I get to see my children every day.
I agree, but we're not gonna find her.
She's the reason? What do you mean by that?
She means the younger one let her go. Right? That's what you're referring to? We're not gonna find her. And we can just skip to the rock into the water and ruffle up the pond if we want to now. Again, this is your last opportunity. This is the last time if you want to do this alone or with Keith. Keith's been through this also on a different level. So I'm ready I'm ready to move on and throw the dart and throw the rock and see what happens to the water. But Sherri, look at me. What do you want?
I don't want her to get in trouble.
She's not going to get in trouble. So the DNA came back to James Reyes.
The DNA that was on you belongs to James Reyes.
The picture in the, can I get the picture? The picture of the table is James Reyes' little brother who died recently. We talked to him. We've been on a polygraph. We talked to everybody around him. We have the rental agreements, phone rental, the car rental agreements. We have everything that says that he said he told the truth.
That's James' brother, deceased Nick.
So everything, you've told us so many truths in this situation. The reason why you can describe the room is because you stayed in the room in the dark for hours, for days on end. The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating. The reason why you got a rash on your arm was because you cleaned his house. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the branding tools, and branded you. The reason why your nose was broke is because of a hockey stick. I know all of those things, and I know there was no sex. I know all of that because he passed a polygraph test that said it's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car.
No.
I drove up and picked her up. He passed the polygraph test, Sherri.
If that's not what happened, what did happen, Sherri?
I don't know. No, there's no way it's James. There's no way. There's no way.
The DNA doesn't lie.
His DNA
His DNA was on you.
There's no way.
Robert saw you in the house while you were down there. While everything
Who's
spun out of
Robert?
control. His cousin. Why everything ran out of control on the initial.
There's no way.
It's 100% Robert's or James's DNA.
We even collected blonde hairs from the room.
There's no way it's James. There's no way.
Tell you that it is.
Why are you saying it's not James? Why are you saying it's not?
He loved me.
What's up?
We were friends.
Mhm.
There's no way.
And he came and got you because you asked him.
No.
Sherri is clearly having trouble processing the fact she has been rumbled. A state of denial is not uncommon in cases of this ilk, as the brain just can't comprehend the fact they are likely facing jail time. This is especially common in cases where the perpetrator has lived a privileged life, believe they have got away with it, or has a history of manipulating their way out of sticky situations. Sherri has all three. You may have recognized this aspect in a different case, Dalia DiPolito. In the following clip, Dalia has just been caught hiring a hitman to murder her husband. She has been shown large amounts of evidence and is facing hefty jail time.
What do you want to do here?
I didn't
Dalia?
do anything.
Listen to
I
me.
didn't do anything.
You're going
I
to
didn't
jail.
do anything, please. I didn't do anything.
Tell me you didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail today. As soon as I'm done, they're going to come in here and handcuff you and take you to the Palm Beach County Jail, book you for solicitation of first-degree murder on your husband. Your husband is well and alive.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah, thank God.
Please? Can I see him?
No, he doesn't want to see you.
I so wanted to see him.
He doesn't want to see you.
Please?
You better quit your playing. Listen to me. I want you to quit your acting and get this over with.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Okay. You know what? You need a real good attorney. You need a real good attorney because we're going to show them the film where you say you're 5,000% sure you want him dead. You think I made that up? You think I made that up? It's exactly what's going to happen. I'm talking with you.
There is no way it's him.
Well, it is
The
James.
DNA tells us that it was his
Well-
DNA on you.
The DNA alone says it's him. And when we talked to him, confronted him with the DNA,
He told us what happened.
he 100% told us what happened.
He gave us details that nobody else would know.
And we can call him and we can all talk about it. But ultimately, can you look at me for a second? Ultimately, we put him on a polygraph like we did Keith. Keith was inconclusive, to be honest with you, on whether he was involved or not. But 100% James was showing the truth. The questions were, did Sherri ask you to come pick her up? He answered yes. That was the truth on a polygraph. We asked him if the two of you ever had sex. The answer was no.
During 2016.
During 2016, during the abduction, he said no. That was the truth. We asked him if you asked him to brand you. The answer was yes. And he passed the polygraph on all of those questions. He took us to the stores where he bought the chain. We talked to the friend who rented the car. The car that he rented drove over 900 miles in a day on the drop-off point.
Sure, I know it was a lot to take in. But it's not like we don't know the answers to these questions.
And the fear of Keith's reaction, obviously now he's in the room, the fear of media, the fear of all of these things are coming forward, they're in front of you now. The only way to get a hold of it, the only way for everybody to come together and heal, the whole community has to heal, is for us to be able to say, when we presented all of the evidence, all of the stuff that came forward, you told us the truth.
Sherri's mind will be racing, and she is likely feeling completely powerless at this moment. All humans deeply crave control of their everyday lives and interactions. Therefore, offering Sherri the chance to regain control in the form of getting ahead of the news could be highly persuasive.
You told us what happened because you did go in a dark room. That's true. You did lay in the back seat of a car. That's true. You did lose weight. You were branded. Your hair was cut. You did have bruises all over. But how those bruises got there are because you did it and James did some. The reason why your nose got broke is because you held the hockey stick to your face and he forced it into your nose. The reason why the brand is in a straight line is because he did it. He described exactly where it was. He told us exactly how he did it, where he did it, how he did it. Only you and I and maybe 5 other people know where the brand was. He told me immediately. Robert told friends and family you were there. His mom knew that you were there because of course it went news and everybody knew you guys dated. Everybody knew you guys had a relationship. So when it happened, of course, family reached out to him. He told him, yeah, she was here. But it said it hurt her. I didn't hurt her. So,
What are you thinking, Sherri?
That doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
what actions doesn't make sense?
A lot of it doesn't make sense.
Can we talk about those?
No.
James told me everything. So the only person that hasn't started telling us certain facts, there are certain facts that are true. When we were sitting there talking to James, there were so many truths that were a part of your story that it's hard to decipher the lies until we put it all together. Until he says, hey, how did you pick her up? I opened up the passenger side seat, I opened the door, you jumped in the back seat. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? I don't know. It was weird. So are you calling James a liar? Are we not believing James what he told me?
No.
I know you're scared.
Cannot believe that it is James.
I can't believe James told us the truth. That's what I can't believe. He passed a polygraph, Sherri.
So did Keith.
No, he didn't. He was inconclusive. And he was involved.
So James is involved. But I don't.
James picked you up. You called James to pick you up. You mailed him a letter with your address. You used a burner phone to call another burner phone for James to come and get you.
I think we need my lawyer. This isn't making any sense.
What's not making sense, Sherri? The parts that don't make sense.
That it's James.
No, the parts that don't make sense are that you're accusing 2 females who abducted you when it was James. The part that you were branded, James did it. He told me he did it. Who would sit there and say, I branded Sherri on her right shoulder blade? Who does that?
And told us how and showed us the letters that matched the brand.
Took us to the store and pointed out the letters.
The descriptions you provided are that room and that house to a T, except it's not a gravel driveway. And it's not elevated. And there's not 2 women who live there.
But James lives there.
James lives there.
You know James lives there.
So you might as well get it out of your head that James is not involved, because James is clearly involved. And James already told us he's the one that did the brand.
That's something that he admitted to mayhem. He admitted to the felony. You can put him in prison over.
So it doesn't jive. So now it's your opportunity to say, were there issues between you and Keith? Is that why you needed to leave? I mean, we read your text message. We're already aware of some issues, but enlighten us if that's the case. If there was a valid reason for you to leave, let me know what that was.
James said you had your jaw broken by him, and that's why he came and got you, because you were in an abusive relationship.
I love my husband.
So, were you in an abusive relationship with him?
The detectives will be aware that Keith and Sherri's relationship was likely not abusive. However, if Sherri was to utilize this excuse, it would be a small first step towards admitting the truth. The detectives could then very easily disprove this claim by showing evidence of her previous deceit and attention-seeking behavior.
Have you told other people in your life that, like China, that Keith has abused you in the past when that wasn't true? China told me that day 2, where there was an incident at a party that you got hurt playing, like, I don't know, Wii or Pictionary or something, and then you told other friends that Keith hurt you. When there was witnesses at the party that said that you got hurt during a party. But then you go tell James that you were being hurt, you were being abused, and you couldn't come forward because Keith has friends in law enforcement. If all of that's, is that true? Has Keith ever been abusive towards you?
We are not talking about my husband. I love my husband.
So why leave? Is James lying to us?
I don't want to leave my husband. I want to be with my children. I would never leave my children.
But you didn't leave them permanently. You came back to them. Ultimately.
No.
You left them every day at daycare. So it's not like, hey, James talked about that decision when you were driving down, how hard that was. You left at 10 o'clock knowing that Keith was going to get home late, knowing you were going to leave the kids at daycare, and how much that tore you up on the drive down. You told us that. Then things got out of control.
James and I talked about that. We did talk about that before. When I went out of town for work.
What happened?
Always talking to other guys. Oh my God, why did I do that?
Like when you were in Eureka, you give them a call? Just start chatting with them? Told them some of your problems? When did it turn from just chatting to just planning to get away?
No.
You were getting a hold of Donovan Mitski the night before.
Why did I do that?
We're trying to understand why you did that too.
We're trying to understand all of it.
I don't know how this is happening because I was doing that. It's such an awful choice. Talking to other guys that has got me here.
So what aspect are you saying? Like, how does talking to other people got you here? We've gotten over.
I love my husband. And I made mistakes and I talked to other men that I shouldn't have.
But we took it a step farther this time.
This is a little different than just chatting with them. I appreciate you talking and being forthright about the other guys you were talking to. When did it turn into something more? Obviously, you never would have imagined that CNN in 2020 and Good Morning America would care about you wanting to leave Keith or wanting to teach him a lesson or wanting to get him in line.
No, I was just talking to James and you don't want to leave my husband.
Right,
I love my husband.
How are you talking? How are you talking to James?
I don't want to leave my husband.
Sure.
Can't be James.
It is James. We can
Sherri,
call
the DNA doesn't lie. His DNA was on you. Your DNA is going to be in that room.
1 in septillion that it was James. I don't even know how many zeros septillion is, to be honest with you.
That's why, despite your description of how far you might have gone in the car, we already went down there. We knocked on his door. We took those pictures. He understood that the DNA didn't lie, so he came clean. Now it's your chance to do the same. And if you don't, you're going to be shaking your head later and say, I should have told him what happened.
Don't talk to me like that.
Like what?
What did James lie about? What did James lie to us about? Of the things I've told you.
I don't know. I just don't know. There's just no way it can be James. I just don't know. I don't know.
is James. That's not even the question anymore.
We know you were in that room. That's already clear.
You described everything in the room.
What you're saying is it wasn't James that came and picked you up by the mailboxes? Is that what you're saying? There were still 2 females? Is that what you're saying, Sherri?
At the end of everything, once you had to have known that this was going to come at some point.
I was talking to my fault.
What's that?
This is all my fault. I was talking to so many guys.
Well, we know
Such a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but then how did we get to Costa Rica? Or sorry, Costa Mesa? Wherever I was. How did we get to LA? There's a big jump and a leap from talking to Ben to getting in a car with somebody. But that getting in a car with somebody is somebody you had a relationship with. He told us about the abortion. He told us about your guys' relationship. He told us about things that I don't know if you've ever told anybody about. He told us so many things. And he did it all for you. Nobody else. He got nothing out of this.
And you're welcome to go home, Sherri. But right now is your opportunity to tell us the truth. And
Can't be.
are you saying that it was 2 females that picked you up? What's that? Every time I ask that question, it seems like you don't answer it.
This can't be happening.
We sat in a room, you drew out 2 people in a sketch, Sherri. Are those 2 people the ones that took you? It's a yes or no.
I don't know.
Well, you were pretty clear when I asked you earlier, what did the younger one do? You said the younger one pointed a gun at you.
She was there.
She wasn't. It was just James.
Not me.
James was 2 hours late.
We have the rental records from 2016 for the vehicle that he used.
Why?
Because we went and looked for it, because he told me.
Because I was talking to him.
That's clear. You were talking to him. I don't.
This is my fault because I was talking to him. This can't.
We have to control what we can control.
No.
We're to the point, the younger female that you've always described, is she the one that pointed a gun at you? Is that true or not?
don't know.
You do know. You told me earlier. So earlier today, when we were talking, I asked you, what did the younger one do? You told me the younger one pointed a gun at you and let you go. That's what you said.
She let me go.
Yeah, you let yourself go. You let yourself out of the back seat. Never even said bye to James. Never a thank you, never a nothing. Just an out.
No.
Yeah, that's what James told me. Until you can start telling me that James is a liar and start pointing things out, James passed a polygraph.
This is my fault. It's my fault that I was talking to him. It's my fault that I was flirting with other men. It was such a stupid thing to do. I love my husband. I love my children.
That's understandable.
It's just stupid.
Here's the deal though, Sherri. Flirting with other men, not a crime. Lying to me today, yes, a crime. Big difference.
Who picked you up? Was it James or was it a female that pointed a gun at you? Can you please answer that? You're shaking your head no.
I will not get. I'm not talking to you about that. I'm not going to get anybody in trouble. I've told you before, I do not want anyone to get in trouble.
Well, you're going to get yourself in trouble at this point. That's where we're at. So either James.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I know you didn't do anything wrong. Right now, you're not telling the truth, which is doing something wrong. That's where we're at. James put himself on a polygraph. Talked to FBI agents. He talked with Peter and I for 6 hours. He told us everything, Sherri. You told us so many truths because you put yourself through.
True.
They were true. You're absolutely
You
right.
don't want to talk about the women.
So, but the one.
You're saying that it's James.
No, I'm
We're
not.
saying James's DNA was on you. We know you were in that room at his house.
Then who
So the
is
question
the
is-
woman? Then who is the woman?
Well,
Okay.
the woman.
That's why we're asking you. It
Did the
wasn't the
woman
woman.
point a gun at you and put you in the car, yes or no? Is that where we're at?
Don't remember.
You don't remember if a female pointed a gun at you and put you in the car? Is that what you're saying, Sherri?
I've always told you I don't remember getting in the car. I've always told you I don't remember getting in the car.
Correct. But did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
Remember.
Yes or no? It's not a remember thing. You've already told me that today.
You know who she is. I know you do.
No, it was always
You
Keith.
know who she is.
Yeah,
You know
the
you
lady
do.
we showed you is another raise. No, I know James opened the door for you. Whether you want to forget how you got in the car, I'm okay with that. But you've already established today. That's why I asked you today. What did the younger girl do? You said she let me go and she pointed a gun at me. We didn't talk about how you got in the car. Right now I'm asking you. Did a younger female point a gun at you? Yes or no? What?
I know you know who she is. I'm
We're
not
on the
saying
wrong-
it. I don't want her to get in trouble.
She's not
I
getting in
know
trouble.
you know who she is.
You're getting in trouble.
I am
That's-
not. I didn't do anything.
Right? But right now, answer this one question. Did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
I am done speaking to you until I talk to a lawyer. I will not arrest her. I am with my children because of her.
I'm disappointed, Sherri.
I don't understand. There is no way that Jesse loves me.
You did love me. I agree.
Sherri, if you want to talk to your attorney, that's fine. We can wrap this up. If you want to keep talking to us, that's a separate story, but you said you wanted to talk to your attorney, so like I said, from the beginning, you're free to go and you can go. I would ask you one more question, just for your own welfare. Do you feel like harming yourself?
Welfare.
Do you feel like harming yourself?
No, I just hug my children and go home.
Okay. Well, you're free to go and do that. If you change your mind and want to come forward and talk to
This
us,
is all my fault because I talked to other men. This cannot be.
you might have come and served coffee.
As you can imagine, this news would turn Keith and his children's life upside down, and the town of Reading would also struggle to understand this new revelation. Keith's view of his wife completely shifted. He now couldn't stand to be in the same room as her, and didn't feel comfortable leaving his children in the care of such a detached person.
Can you help me throw me a bone and then go, I mean, she made it up, is that where we're going, right? Or is she trying to come up with a whole nother?
We're not going to give you any additional details. Obviously, you heard the questions, so you can read through some of those and understand. You've seen some of the photos, so you know some of the investigative
Well,
work
obviously you
we've
saw me, I
done.
was like, yeah, we found him.
And we did.
Yeah,
But you can also notice your reaction compared to her reaction.
yeah, no, 100%. That's what I'm saying from my side, but now you're telling me, okay, you guys can go home now. Well, do you think I want her anywhere around my kids or around me at all at this point?
While they split on the day of Sherri's arrest, Keith would file for divorce in the April of 2022. And according to reports, he has his sights on retaining most of the pair's assets. He also is asking for full custody of his 2 children. Sherri was arrested in March 2022 and later pleaded guilty to federal counts of mail fraud and making false statements to the police the following month. For her crimes, she was sentenced to 18 months prison time to be followed by 36 months of supervised release. Sherri has offered no reasons as to why she faked her ordeal. However, experts suggest an extremely complicated mental health situation.